It's damn simple, but it's not easy because you need to master those skills first yourself. Otherwise, you will just confuse your team. I heard this saying a few years back: culture eat strategy for breakfast. And again, I think it has been said so many times that maybe we don't really understand it or believe it anymore. But I truly do, because I think the culture, you could say, is the sum of the values of the people in the organization. And values, the importance of understanding and knowing the value of individuals, and therefore also the culture of the organization, is that values is a very big driver for behavior. And as I understand it, the only thing that can create results in your organization is the sum of the behavior of all of you. And if you're not in control of the culture and thereby the values and the behaviors, you're left with very little impact in relation to the results that's being created by the organization. And today we'll discuss how you can impact the culture of your sales team, the values of the individual contributors, and thereby also the behavior they're doing every minute, every second, every hour, every day. That will lead to the results you will see, or maybe lead to the results you are not getting. And today we will dive a little into how you, by the way you act, can impact values and thereby culture in your team. Then you could ask, so what impact or what importance or significance do sales leaders have in order to build and maintain culture? I think most sales leaders don't. And I think that's a pity. But I have seen organizations where sales leaders actually take on the responsibility of actually building and developing the culture in their team. And I think that's the main job of a sales leader, if you ask me. Not just control the numbers and looking into the Excel sheet, but actually understanding what you can do to move the culture in a direction where it becomes, I think, more value creating long term. And then you could ask yourself, but what is it I can do to impact culture? Almost nothing from one day to the other. When you want to really impact culture, you need to have a crazy amount of patience, because it's as nothing will happen in the day-to-day work. Nothing will happen weeks to weeks, and almost nothing will happen month to month. But if you're persistent, if you're consistent, then within a few years, you can totally transform the culture in a sales team. And the beauty is that when you have created the culture you want, it takes years to destroy and pull down. I had that experience back when I was building a sales team in the Nordic. And, for the first few years, it was like hard work. I had review meetings, I had cold calls, basically on the road for more than 150 days a year to work alongside my salespeople. But after 3 years, it was as though they knew how to operate in front of customers because they had been trained, on a daily basis for 3 years. And when I resigned from that position after 5 years, my successor, she ran into serious troubles because she came with a different desire for culture and how she wanted the people to work. And the culture just crashed her because she was too impatient. And the way she wanted them to work was not the way I had trained them to work over the course of 5 years. And she lasted less than a year. And I think the main reason for that was that the culture I had built in that sales team was so strong that not a single sales manager could change that from one week to the other. And I think she didn't realize that, and therefore, basically, she failed. So then, of course, you could ask, but how do I go about impacting the culture in my sales team? And again, here, I think the most effective way I have found is, again, to reverse engineer the culture. So instead of starting out by saying, wow, I want proactive, happy, positive salespeople, go and be happy, proactive salespeople, it doesn't work. You have to go all the way back to asking yourself, what kind of experience would you like the customers to have when they interact with you and your sales team? So let's say that we could interview your customers after they have actually had meetings with you and your sales team. What would you like them to say about you? Would you like them to say, wow, they were actually curious about our situation. They were asking me some very insightful questions that made me think about what was truly important to me. They were actually listening to me because I could see that after the meeting, they actually did what I asked them to do. And it felt like, wow, they were here to help me. So if that's what you want, now you can go back and say, okay, so what kind of mindset and skill set do my salespeople need to have so that they can actually create these kind of experiences, not by accident, but by default, because that's simply who they are and what they do. And when you have that in place, now you can take one step further and say, wow, what is it that you need to do when you interact with your salespeople? Well, what is it that you need to do when you have review meetings with your salespeople? How do you need to act and behave when you are on co-visit with your salespeople? Because it's what you do, your salespeople will model and bring into the work with their customers. So if you want your customer to say, wow, I really want my supplier to be curious and interested in what I want, you need to do the same in relation to your salespeople. So you need to show up being curious when you have review meetings. You need to show up being able to ask high quality questions to your salespeople. You need to be able to maybe not start in the red with problems and pains and problems, but start in the green, as we call it, focusing on what works well, what have you accomplished. So the more, in a way, you can be in a way you want your salespeople to be and do what you want your salespeople to do, the faster they will start to be and do the way you want them to be and do. And over time, that will be reflected back into the values they're having and the culture you will build in the team. It's damn simple, but it's not easy because you need to master those skills first yourself. Otherwise, you will just confuse your team. Because this is what happens for most sales leaders, is that they're doing one thing and then they ask for something else. And then they don't really get that they're not getting what they want. For me, it's not a surprise. It's actually just a reflection of who you are and what you're doing. One of the big things is that, and the question I often get, can you use coaching to build culture? And I would say it depends on how you think about coaching. But I think, again, as a coach, you could, in a way, model out the behavior for the salespeople you want them to have in front of their customers. So when you act as an optimal coach, you're basically acting the way you would like to act with their customers. And again, also, what you can do in a coaching session is you could ask questions like, so working with customers, what is really important to you as a salesperson? What is it that you would like your customers to say about you after you have interacted with them? And then help the salesperson understand what kind of behavior will leave the customer with the experience they need to have to say what you would like them to say. So that the behavior you want to cultivate in the salespeople are not behavior you have basically told into them, but behavior that comes from within them, but where you just help them cultivate it and make it coming to the surface so that they realize that, wow, being patient and relaxed and being curious when I'm with my customers, that's really what I want. And the more the desire for getting somewhere is arriving from the salesperson you're coaching, the more they will be motivated to listen to your advice and recommendation of how they can get there. So I think thinking about this and in this way can make every coaching session into a culture building machine event. When the customer experience and your behavior is aligned, over time you will get a sales team that will also align to that, because everything will fit together. It will be as one system. And I think this is really where you will see performance will triple or quadruple, because again, the friction in the system will be much less. Because when you interact with the salespeople the same way you want them to interact with the customers, it's like you will see a flow in the way things will start to move. And I think again here it's so simple. And again, I will remind you that simple doesn't equal easy, because this really demand of you that you understand how to lead yourself, how you show up every day, have an impact on how your salespeople will show up every day. So you need to be able to manage your own state, so that you are actually showing up in a resourceful, positive state. Because the more you do that, the more the salespeople will do it, and the more the customer will experience it. So basically, the way you feel will have a huge impact on how your customer will feel about you and your brand. And this have been proven by studies. There have been studies that have proven that the emotions of a leader will impact the emotions of the culture. So a final question here could be that, okay, since state and your emotional state is so important, what can you do to make sure that you start out from a resourceful state? And I think, again, for some of you, it's more easy than for others. I'm guessing that some of you normally is in a good state, and something significant needs to happen for you to not be it. For others, you are maybe much more easy to impact. And again here, the one thing that doesn't work when it comes to leading your state is to give yourself negative commands. So saying to yourself, oh, I shouldn't be stressed, is the shortest way to not get to the resourceful state. So what you need to understand about yourself is how you know that you are okay, so that you can give yourself a positive command of going there and starting there. And for me, I know how it feels when I'm okay. So I can reset myself, every minute, every hour, or whenever I want and need, because I know how it feels to be okay, even here today in front of you. I think the more I actually show up okay, the more you will enjoy listening to me in this podcast. So the trick here is really to understand how to do personal leadership on the first level, on ontological level, knowing who you are and how you feel when you're truly yourself. And this is a must master skill for being a sales leader if you want to create the right culture in your teams. There's no way around it. You cannot feel anything but great if you want to create a great sales team. There's no way around it. You have to feel at ease. You have to feel great when you're at work. That's simply needed. There's no way around it. If you feel like shit, you will create shit.